Howdy ho, Andrew here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. So, I was really hoping to lighten the mood after the horrific events revolving around Charlie Kirk. And at the time of filming this on September 14th, we know that the assassin has pled not guilty, but his lover, his roommate, his parents, his lover's parents have all cooperated with the police, and the kid's gonna get the death penalty. He's not talking, which is a real shame because the one thing I wanted from that was that he spoke and told who his handlers were. Because I don't believe I know he planned this with Antifa, but I don't believe he or the guy he planned with are the money or brains behind this. Somebody pulled the strings. And my hope was during interrogation, that's who they would find. Because to me, even though this kid deserves to die, he committed assassination, murder, and, you do that, you deserve to die. And he's going to die. But the real villain to me is the person pulling his strings. The people that indoctrinated him, the people that manipulated him, brainwashed him, and pulled his strings to radicalize him to accept these type of steps. Those are the ones I really want to be caught, and I'm starting to get an uneasy feeling that they're going to get away with it. Which brings us to today's topic. Prior to the Charlie Kirk assassination, I actually hadn't heard of this story. I heard of this story the same day as I heard of Charlie. And for shame on the media, the mainstream media here in Canada and the US, they covered this up. I'm sure if you really go digging, you might find a little two-line paragraph somewhere mentioning it so they can go, oh no, we reported it, see? It's not our fault, you happen to miss it. This should have been front page news. This should have been the story for weeks leading up to the Charlie Kirk murder, but it wasn't. And seriously, CBC, CTV, Globe and Mail, Toronto Red Star, all of your affiliates here in Canada, and then in the States, New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, New York Times, all of you, for shame. Seriously, for shame. And this has become a real problem. We're seeing more and more evidence every single day that the left politically and the left media is conspiring to hide the news from the general public, to keep them uninformed, only give them what they want you to hear, and that's not a way for a republic or a democracy like Canada to work. It's not. Censorship does not work. Censorship is the tools of Adolf Hitler. And I'm disgusted. I'm honestly disgusted. And I have no respect for the modern day left. If you've watched any of my videos, that's no secret. I'm a moderate. I don't go to the right wing. I actually just had a funny encounter with a far right winger. But I absolutely despise the modern left wing and what they stand for and what they're doing. And I see so many correlations to Adolf Hitler's Germany and what he did in the early days as the National Socialist Party there. And that terrifies me that if people don't wake up, we're going to let history repeat itself. I'm 59 years old, turning 60, so if we have a world war, I've lived most of my life. But the kids nowadays, they shouldn't have to live through this type of terror. And that's where we're heading with the left wing, modern day left wing. They're too radicalized, too extremist, too unbalanced. It's got to stop, people. It's really got to stop. So anyway, today's story is about Iryna Zaratuska. I hope I'm saying her name correctly. It's a Ukrainian name. I grew up in a Ukrainian town, but I never got the dialect. And I'm not going to show you the video. The video is really disturbing. Even though they've censored it to not show the actual stabbing, you still see this idiot walking up and down the subway with the train with blood pouring out of him and holding onto a bloody knife. And it's too disturbing. I'm not going to show it on my video. I just described it. If you really want to see it, you can look it up online. It's all over the place. And I never heard about this story until Charlie died. And then people started making the comparison between Charlie being assassinated and this girl being murdered the way she was. And it made me look into the story going, how did I not hear about this? Which brought me to this news article. Liberal media accused of covering up Ukrainian girl's brutal murder in Dem-led city as video explodes online. Horrific footage of a career criminal stabbing a Ukrainian refugee from behind on a North Carolina train has prompted a national uproar, but you won't find it in any of the liberal media websites. Recently surfaced surveillance footage shows the suspect, whom police have named as DeCarlos Brown Jr., 35, killing Iryna Zarutuska. Again, I don't think I'm saying her name right. 23, on board a South End light rail train in Charlotte on August 22nd. So this was at least 3 weeks ago from the time I'm filming, and I never heard of it until about Wednesday of last week. So again, I say to these media outlets, for shame. For shame. A crazed attacker can be seen lunging at Iryna from behind. Before the footage skips the graphic slaughter to show him carrying a knife dripping with blood as he walked through the train carriage and another passenger sprinted away. Now, I've watched the video, and because I've watched the video is why I'm not going to show it. But the one thing that stood out to me is nobody on the train rushed to see if she was okay. What the bleep is wrong with you people? Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. When you got a psychopath with a knife who just stabbed somebody, you don't rush in. But he walked down the train. So the minute he walked down the train, there was like 5 people around her, and none of them got up to rush to her. What is wrong with these people? Seriously, what the fuck is wrong with you? Iryna came to the U.S. for safety after fleeing Russian President Vladimir Putin's ongoing invasion of her home country, and the shocking video of her final moments exploded online. People took to social media to share their sadness, and she was not protected by the state of North Carolina or the liberal city of Charlotte, where Brown had allegedly been arrested more than 14 times previously, but remained on the streets. However, the shocking story is notably absent from U.S. liberal media sites, including the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Associated Press, CNN, MSNBC, and on and on and on. The Daily Mail has contacted the outlets for clarification on the reasoning behind their editorial judgment. Democrat Mayor of Charlotte Villies suggested that some publishers chose not to share the footage out of respect for Iryna's family. But the police force she is in charge of made the video public first of all. So the police force released the video, the media just wouldn't show it to people. And again, I don't even think they needed to show the video, they just needed to report on the fucking story. This should have been headline news for at least 2 weeks, maybe 3. This was brutal. This was inhumane. And this was another career criminal left-winger doing career criminal left-wing stuff. The Daily Mail has contacted Lyle's office for more information. In her statement, she said, the video of the heartbreaking attack that took Iryna's life is now public. Well, that's how I saw it. I want to thank our media partners, and community members who have chosen not to repost or share the footage out of respect. Oh, spare me. They're not doing it out of respect. They're doing it out of silence. A career criminal, 14-time convict, is out on bail in a left-wing city because, for some godforsaken reason, the modern-day left doesn't think criminals should be in jail. This was a senseless and tragic loss. My prayers remain with her loved ones as they continue to grieve through an unimaginable time. Like so many of you, I'm heartbroken. Oh, she's lying now. And I've been thinking hard about what safety really looks like in our city. Well, clearly it doesn't. There is no safety in your city. I remain committed to doing all we can do. Oh, we've heard this song and dance from the left wing. I hear it in Edmonton all the time. Like, I've banned my mother. I have an 87-year-old mother. I've banned her from riding on the Edmonton LRT or the Edmonton bus system. Now, thankfully, she's not well enough to actually want to do that anyway. But we constantly hear about seniors being attacked, randomly attacked in Edmonton's LRT because the city council does nothing. Like, they could put more security guards, they could put cameras, they could put officers on the trains. They don't. They don't want to. That would infringe on the criminals' rights. We must think of the criminals, not the victims. But people on social media lambasted the Liberal media for their lack of coverage, with many speculating that the outlets did not want to write about a killing for racial reasons. I don't know if it was race. I think it has more to do with ideology, if I'm being perfectly honest. Elon Musk highlighted the lack of coverage by resharing one post counting how many articles each outlet had written about the stabbing with the comment 0. So again, you didn't need to show the video. All you had to do was report the news, and they chose not to. And it was the same here in Canada. Like, they're talking about the States, but it was the same here in Canada. I did not hear about this. Here's Elon Musk. Let's see if I can, yeah, okay. 0 AP stories on this deadly attack. 0 PBS stories on this deadly attack. 0 New York Times stories on this deadly attack. 0 NPR stories on this deadly attack. 0 WSJ stories on this deadly attack. Kind of sounds like a policy, doesn't it? And you're seeing the picture of Elon's tweet, and you can see the picture just before he strikes her. She had no idea it was coming. He just stood up behind her and stabbed her, killed her, dead. Such a waste. Such a crime. I'm glad to hear he's going to get the death penalty. We have somebody named Wall Street Mav. If you search MSNBC, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, you won't find any mention of this news story about Iryna. The Democrats on the Charlotte City Council tried to block the release of the video footage. Oh, well, the mayor didn't tell us that, did she? Why are they avoiding the story of a Ukrainian white girl being so brutally killed? Good question. But honestly, we've kind of started to become conditioned to this from the so-called mainstream media here in Canada and the US. This is what they do. They never tell you the full story when they do report something, and they pick and choose what stories they want to report on. The Daily Mail review of police records found that he was charged with misusing 911 as recently as January, when he told cops he believed somebody had given him a man-made material that controlled his actions. Okay, so now we got a hardened criminal, clearly a psychopath, who should have been institutionalized for brain damage. He was released without bail and trial pending when he allegedly stabbed Iryna to death. He was released without bail and a trial pending for murdering somebody. Welcome to the modern left wing. These are their policies. Brown served 5 years in prison for a 2014 armed robbery, and he was released in 2020. September of 2020. In February 2021, Brown was arrested for assaulting his sister in Charlotte and leaving her with minor injuries, according to police records obtained by the Daily Mail. That same month, he was again arrested for injury to personal property and trespassing. The police report from that incident said Brown returned to the address after being told he was not allowed back and kicked and damaged the front door of the listed victim's residence. In July 2022, Brown was arrested for domestic disturbance. Brown was arrested for disorderly conduct. The subject was yelling and cursing, causing a disturbance and drawing the attention of multiple tenants while on the property, the police report said. Brown's arrest records go back to 2007, when he was still a minor. Over the next 7 years, he was arrested at least 6 times for crimes including felony larceny, robbery with a dangerous weapon, and communicating threats. According to the Charlotte Observer, most of the charges he faced during that time were dropped. When reached for comment, the Mecklenburg District Attorney's Office told the Daily Mail Tuesday it cannot speak about defendants with pending cases. In broad terms, it remains the position of the District Attorney's Office that those who commit violent crimes should be held in custody pending trial, the DA's office said. Well, he's been released already without even bail. Brown's latest alleged crime is his most serious. Local Councilman Edwin Peacock demanded answers from authorities, noting the community no longer feels safe to ride. Well, no shit, buddy. Right now, the trust and confidence that we have right now, and particularly between South End and Uptown, it's at it's very fragile right now. The story is heart-wrenching, and if obviously what we're hearing is true, clearly we need to give that family answers. And we need, more importantly, to give all the citizens who are riding light rail a lot of confidence that they are going to be safe. In the horrifying footage, the suspect police identified as Brown was seen watching Iryna for some time after she sat in the seat in front of him, eventually taking out what appeared to be a blade from his pocket. Then he stood up and loomed over the 23-year-old, swinging the knife at her as she sat with her phone. The knife man was shown leaving a trail of blood through the train, which is why I'm not going to show the video, as other passengers appeared not to realize. Oh, they realized. If you watch the video, go watch the video yourself if you don't mind the blood and the violence. They knew exactly what was going on. Maybe further down the car they didn't, but the ones around her knew exactly what had happened, and none of them got up. None of them rushed to help her. None of them did jack shit. They just sat there. Brown was arrested soon after and charged with first-degree murder. His bond was subsequently denied by a judge. Oh, and okay, so they said at first he was released, but now they're saying his bond was subsequently denied and he remains in custody. So that's at least a positive. So while the media didn't want to report on this, Trump took no time to comment on this himself. Trump pledges vicious response in tribute to murdered Ukrainian refugee Iryna. President Trump has pledged a vicious response to the murder of refugee Iryna Zakuska, who was stabbed on the train in Charlotte, North Carolina last month. Ms. Zakuska fled the war in Ukraine along with her mother and siblings in 2022. In a video posted on Truth Social, Trump raised the photo depicting the moment of attack, which you're seeing now, as well as pictures from both Iryna and her suspected predator, DeCarlos Brown Jr. DeCarlos Brown Jr. has been arrested and charged with first-degree murder, a federal crime that could make him eligible for the death penalty. And with Trump there, I have no doubt he's going to be on death row. So yeah, horrible story. Made all the worse by the mainstream media refusing to report on it. Like, seriously, what's going on in North America, in Canada, in the US? What is going on with these left-wing media outlets and left-wing politicians? You're not even safe anymore. Like here in Canada, we just had a guy charged for threatening a guy that broke into his house. You didn't hear me wrong. The guy broke into this guy's house. This guy fought him off, and the police charged the guy with assault. He's defending his property. It's ridiculous. And like, I'm pretty calm with the police normally. I don't agree with them charging this guy, but okay, they can use the excuse, heat of the moment, whatever. They had to do the charge, whatever. But then it got to the prosecutors and they didn't drop the fucking charges. So what is going on with these left-wing morons? Enough already. We have a right to defend our homes, and this girl has a right to ride on the subway or on the light rail. Like, it's a heartbreaking story. She fled with her family from the Ukraine. She came to the U.S. She did everything right. She got refugee status legally. She's not a legal alien. Okay, let's get that out of the way right off the bat. She's not an illegal, and maybe that's why the left doesn't care about her. That very well might be it. They don't care about her because she's not an illegal alien. She came to the States legally under a refugee status. She's working. She's paying taxes. She's going to school. And she's trying to start a brand new life, a better life for her and her family. And at 23 years old, a random monster murders her. And the media is complicit in it, as far as I'm concerned. So, I'm politically, I'm a moderate, but I do go to the right on law and order, military, justice, those type of things. So I go a little bit to the right on that. And, Trump's got his job cut out for him because there's so much rot in the States from the Democrats. And here in Canada, like we desperately need Poilievre to get elected because we're facing the exact same thing here. And unfortunately, our prime minister is more interested in loading up his own bank account than he is fixing Canada from his predecessor, who he mentored. So the system is broken. We need the proper governments, and then we need those governments to do the proper jobs. And I didn't know this girl. She's a gorgeous girl, as you've seen the pictures I've been showing you throughout the video. She was absolutely stunning. She had her life ahead of her, and it was robbed by a modern day monster. Which brings me to something I used on Charlie Kirk, on the video I did for Charlie Kirk, well, a couple of videos. But it's a book by Dr. Tracy, Eat, Pray, Faith, and the title is simply Only Demons Celebrate Murder. Now, in Charlie Kirk's case, I used it about the unhinged, radicalized, extremist alt-lefters celebrating and cheering the death of Charlie Kirk. But I think this applies to the media because by not reporting this, by not informing the public of this, they celebrated murder. There's really no other way to say it. And the other one I want to talk about is a quote by Isaac Asimov. Violence is the last resort of the incompetent. This monster, in my opinion anyway, is the very definition of incompetence. And rest in peace, Iryna. You deserved a lot better in life, and you deserved a hell of a lot better in death. So I hope you and I'm not a religious person, but I hope you and Charlie are up in heaven consoling each other and you're on to a better life. I'm sorry you had to experience the horrors that this one had to offer. And that's my video for today. If you like this video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. Takes 1 second to subscribe, costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscription button on the bottom of the screen, and you're golden. Always feel free to leave a comment, even if you're just saying rest in peace, Irene. I would love to see my comment section blow up on just praise, wishes, condolences to this lovely girl. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.